Okay, so what if I told you I brought a manga today that has a genuine chance of changing you? What do you think I'm about to talk about? Vinland Saga, Vagabond, some deeply meaningful, artistically rich work? The answer is no. I'm not talking about any of those. What I brought is the story of a boy named Kurosawa, and this boy goes into the girl's bathroom to masturbate. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another garbage eki manga, remember what I said. This will change you. It's going to be funny, genuinely moving, and it's the story of how one deeply messed up kid actually transforms himself. Let's get into it. The manga opens with Kurosawa already finishing up in what he has personally designated his secret base, the third-floor girls' bathroom of one of the school buildings. He wraps up and thinks to himself, that was a great one. And this is just the introduction. He explains who he was thinking about today, a girl who sits near him in class. He describes her cute expressions and childlike energy, announces that he used all of that as mental fuel, and calls the ritual complete. He has been doing this every single day since entering his second year. His routine is simple. After school ends, he sits in the library and waits for everyone to clear out. That takes about an hour. Once the halls are empty, he crosses to a different building, goes to the third-floor girls' bathroom in a section nobody uses, does his thing, cleans up thoroughly, and leaves absolutely no evidence behind. He has thought all of this through extensively. There is a pre-prepared cover story. There is timing. There is a system. This is a man who has applied genuine intelligence to the absolute worst possible purpose. Except today, when he swings the stall door open to leave, a girl is standing right there on the other side. This was not supposed to happen. His internal voice is simply shit. The girl can barely form words, which is understandable, because a boy just walked out of the girl's bathroom and there's no normal response to that. Kurosawa reads the situation and notes she's in shock. He also notices she's this small, compact, squirrel-like person, clearly introverted, clearly someone who struggles to express herself out loud. His cover story deploys immediately. The teacher asked him to drop off some cleaning supplies. Nothing suspicious here. He even notes mentally that he prepared this script specifically for this type of scenario, which tells you everything about how systematically he operates. The girl says nothing, steps around him, and goes into the bathroom. He watches her go and thinks she looked a little suspicious, but probably won't cause problems down the line. He heads home. He is wrong. That girl is going to become one of the most important people in his story. Next, we see Kurosawa in class. The teacher is letting students know spring break is approaching and telling everyone to behave themselves. The boys in class are chattering about plans, who's coming out, where should they go, all that. Kurosawa has zero interest. He lives in his own private world and is perfectly content there. When the boring lecture ends, a guy asks who's coming and a bunch of hands shoot up. Kurosawa watches and thinks, what a useless bunch. He's got a bit of a god complex. This guy, think Light Yagami, except the entire ambition is pointed at a bathroom stall. Then a guy named Kaji Nagao, essentially the leader of the class otaku group, and a person whose hairstyle can only be described as broccoli-shaped, comes over and invites Kurosawa to karaoke. Before Kurosawa can respond, Broccoli head launches into an enthusiastic pitch, and the others roast him for his hair the entire time. He doesn't care even slightly. He's that kind of guy. Kurosawa has noted that Broccoli head always tries to drag him somewhere, and he keeps declining with polite excuses. Not feeling well, you guys go without me, while his internal voice just says, I'm not going anywhere with a bunch of otaku losers. He tells them next time, there will not be a next time school ends. Daily ritual time. It's a quick day since most students left early after the closing ceremony and not much waiting was required. He heads for the usual bathroom, passes the cleaning lady on the way, and internally congratulates himself on his perfect timing. Today's mental material is a girl he noticed at the last school sports festival. During the relay race, she dropped the baton and started crying, and that expression has been filed away in his memory ever since. The ritual concludes, he cleans up, he's heading out when he hears someone approaching outside, so he locks himself back in the stall. Then comes the sound of girls' voices, 3 of them. They know someone is in the locked stall and start knocking and demanding an answer. Kurosawa, who cannot respond under any circumstances, settles himself down and makes the decision, do not answer no matter what. Staying silent turns out to be correct. One of the girls eventually tells the others to just leave whoever it is alone. They migrate to the other stalls. He tracks their movements and slips out the moment the path is clear. One voice calls after him, don't report us. Okay? He says nothing. He's already gone. Outside, he thinks about the close calls accumulating. Yesterday, 1 girl caught him. Today, 3. If this keeps up, he might have to stop. Then he laughs at himself. Stop? Over a few close calls? If anything, this makes things more exciting. Spring break is in 2 weeks, and when it ends, he'll come back and have even more fun. He thinks about which girl to use next time. This guy is completely unhinged. But everything is about to shift. Spring break ends. New semester. Kurosawa comes back energized because his routine is resuming. He checks the class shuffles and discovers Broccoli Head is in his class again. His expression makes clear he is not pleased. Kurosawa asks where the rest of the guys went, and Broccoli Head says most got assigned to other classes. Kurosawa is quietly relieved. At least he won't be dragged everywhere by that crowd. Now the important part, who are the new girls in his class? Kurosawa goes through the list with the focus of a researcher. First, Naitoko Yoko, above average beauty, widely known, has many admirers, currently modeling for a popular magazine. Second, Takigawa, one of the school's top 10 beauties, extremely outgoing, mixes with everyone easily. Kurosawa notes she probably doesn't have much dating experience and may be a virgin. Third and most significant, Nishimoto, not quite as striking as the other two, but attractive, and she's the girl who sat near him last semester that he's been using as mental material for a while now. He notes internally that the new class has excellent options and almost says something out loud before catching himself. He needs more self-control. He enters the classroom and recognizes faces, some extroverted boys on one side, girls on the other. Immediately from their voices he identifies them. These are the same girls who came to smoke in the bathroom during his close call. More material has arrived in proximity. He doesn't know yet who's sitting next to him, but whoever it is becomes today's target by default. He read the name on the seating chart. Kita, definitely a girl. And he heard that name before. The girls in the bathroom said Kitahara's name, said the class would be less fun without her. He wonders who she is. Then she walks in, and it's the girl from outside the bathroom door, the one who saw him come out. He recognizes her on the spot. Attendance, new class introductions. The usual ritual of standing up, giving your name, your age, your interests, your dreams. A particularly extroverted guy performs an entire presentation, pulls out a song to prove he wants to be a pop star, and gets cut off by the teacher. Kurosawa is already exhausted by all of this, 4 days of it, everyone announcing dreams like they're just sitting on a shelf. Someone wants to be a police officer. Someone wants to be a lawyer. He watches them and thinks, absolute idiots. Acting like the gap between wanting something and becoming it doesn't exist, whatever. When it's his turn, he goes up with 33 pairs of eyes on him, introduces himself as Kurosawa, age 14. Not joining any clubs, interests include music and reading. Hasn't decided on any particular dreams. 10 seconds he sits back down. Broccoli Head was the only person who seemed even slightly tense during it. Then Kitahara goes up. Kurosawa tells himself she'll be his first focus this semester. She reaches the platform and immediately starts shouting. The entire class freezes. This tiny, quiet-looking girl just erupted in volume. She yells that she's here, that spring has arrived, and that she is going to become a crazy workaholic. Nobody understands why she's doing this, except two people. The girls who bully her, they told her to do this. A humiliation performance. They're watching with barely contained smirks. Kurosawa clocks it immediately. He thinks for a naturally introverted person, getting up and performing like that on someone else's command is genuinely painful. You do it because someone is making you. A few months pass. The class settles into its social landscape. Studious types together, troublemakers together, and those who get bullied are isolated. Kitahara eats alone every day. That solitude makes her an easy target. The bully group, led by Sugawara, drops coffee into her rice during lunch. Kurosawa watches this and thinks, that's not right, and sometimes he wonders if they ever get tired of constantly tormenting the same person. What has she done that's worth this much effort? But he catches himself, it's not his problem. He has no relationship with Kitahara. The only interaction they've had is that once she was a figure in his imagination. That's it. He redirects his eyes to Naitoko, and spends the rest of lunch cataloging her every small movement, how she holds her chopsticks, how she lifts her water bottle, the angle of her skirt. He logs all of it for later. Later that day, the daily ritual happens. This time, the manga gives us a little more depth than usual. He's imagining Naitoko with him, and even though he has to push to get there, by the end he is overwhelmingly satisfied. He cleans up, heads out, and then hears something drop nearby. He turns and finds Kitahara sitting against a wall, looking like she's trying to hold herself together. He approaches and asks if she's okay. She says yes, but her clothes, her hands, the general state of things tells him something different. He pieces it together. They must have thrown her uniform into a tree again, and she fell trying to get it down. He tries to gently probe what happened. She shuts down. He pushes more directly. You're being bullied by Sugawara's group, aren't you? Why are they doing this to you? She says it's none of his business. He watches her walk away and thinks, she's right. This has nothing to do with me, but something about it is irritating him. He can feel the anger building. He tells himself it doesn't matter. He lets it go for now. PE class. The boys are on their side, the girls on theirs. The girls are playing basketball. Basketball involves jumping and movement, and for a particular subset of teenage boy, this is extremely significant information. One guy is practically falling apart over how Naitoko looks playing it. Others join in with commentary. Takigawa is also noted positively. Sugawara skipped PE today, apparently. Meanwhile, Broccoli Head is updating Kurosawa on his long jump personal record. Kurosawa says good for you. He has more pressing observations to make. Back in the classroom, they find a broken window. Broccoli Head goes into full detective mode immediately. Who did this? Investigation time. Kurosawa is reluctantly pulled in. Nobody's belongings seem to be missing, except it turns out a boy nicknamed Pizza, one of the otaku group, chubby, harmless, never hurt anyone, is missing his PE uniform. Someone stole it. The group searches everywhere and finds nothing. Pizza ends up having to spend the rest of the school day in his PE clothes. At lunch, Kitahara walks up to Pizza and tells him she found his uniform in her bag. Kurosawa's brain starts working. She found it in her bag. Before anyone can process that, Sugawara appears right on cue, pointing and announcing that Kitahara stole Pizza's uniform. Kitahara is so introverted she can barely raise her voice to deny it. The bullies keep pushing. The pressure builds, and eventually she folds and says yes, she took it. She didn't take it. Every single person in that classroom knows she didn't take it. They all know Sugawara planted it. But when Sugawara twists the knife further by asking in front of everyone why Kitahara stole it, whether it was because she likes pizza, the whole class loses it. People are laughing, congratulating them on the new couple, celebrating, and Naitoko, who usually stays out of things, joins in asking Kitahara to confirm. Under the weight of all of it, Kitahara sits down on the floor and cries. Everyone's still going. Congratulations on your love. Keep it up. We support you. More laughter. And Kurosawa watches all of this, and in this specific moment something in him snaps. He says internally, I don't know why I made the decision I made, but I decided then and there that I would punish those two girls myself. That evening the daily ritual begins, and today the imagined scenario features Sugawara as a captive, begging him to stop, and Kurosawa announcing he won't touch her directly, just let his output do the work from the inside. Deeply unhinged, but alongside this, the plan is now officially in motion. Next day, Kurosawa arrives at school and Broccoli Head greets him, mentioning he just got there after spending the morning at a hospital appointment. He only just arrived at school now, 4th period. This is noted. In class, Sugawara and her friend discover their PE uniforms have been stolen. Accusations fly in every direction, the otaku group, Kurosawa, anyone. But Broccoli Head calmly defends each person, and for Kurosawa specifically points out he only just arrived this morning, so how could he have done anything? Then a girl comes in saying both uniforms were found in the girl's bathroom. Sugawara takes one look at what was returned to her and screams. Kurosawa used his output on both their uniforms. The class is stunned. And Kurosawa looks at them both and says flatly, You bully one girl, and look how pathetic you both are. Here's the full plan. He arrived at school extremely early, having told the homeroom teacher in advance that he'd be late due to a hospital visit, establishing an alibi. While the class was in 3rd period PE, he slipped into the classroom, took both uniforms, went to the girls' bathroom, did what he does, and returned to class as if none of it happened. The teacher arrives to a disrupted atmosphere, the bullies are completely unsettled, and eventually class just dissolves. In the chaos, Kurosawa and Kitahara make eye contact across the room. He thinks, of course I arrived early. Nobody suspected me, but you saw them, Kitahara. You saw exactly how disgusting they felt. The lesson doesn't stick, though. The very next morning, the bullies are back at it. What has changed is that they now suspect a boy was involved since Kitahara doesn't interact with any girls and wouldn't have access to those uniforms. That creates a small amount of protection around her, still being bullied, but marginally harder to frame. Then comes the announcement, class trip next week, groups of 5. The loud boys immediately try to form armies instead of groups of 5. They want to bring their whole crew, their juniors, their seniors, a dog, a distant uncle, everyone. Kurosawa figures he'll end up with whoever's left, which will include Kitahara. Broccoli Head, who has his own solid group of otakus, voluntarily removes himself from that group to join Kurosawa. Kurosawa tells him he doesn't need to do that. Broccoli Head doesn't care. He's joining Pizza also attaches himself to the group. Their 5-person unit assembles through the quiet process of introverts ending up together, because no one else claimed them, which is, honestly, extremely relatable. After school, daily ritual time, today's focus is Naitoko. He does what he does. Before he can leave, Kitahara is outside the stall waiting for him. She calls in and asks if that's Kurosawa. He freezes. He's been found out. But he recognizes the voice immediately. It's Kitahara, and she says she knows he's in there and she needs a favor. He says nothing. She threatens to keep talking. He responds, attempting a voice change that immediately fails, thinks to himself that he wishes he could actually disguise his voice, and then Kitahara drops the bomb. She knows what he does in here. She's known since the very first day they met. Because the cleaning task that Kurosawa used as his cover story, the teacher sent me to drop off cleaning supplies, that task was actually assigned to Kitahara. He was using her real assignment as his lie. She figured it out on the spot. She's also been watching him come and go from that building, often enough to understand the pattern. She's not going to tell anyone. In exchange, he does what he did to Sugawara's uniform for someone she names. Kurosawa cannot exactly argue from the position he's currently in. He steps out of the stall and asks, why do you want me to go after Naitoko? She doesn't even directly bully you. Kitahara says she never does anything direct, but she laughs when it happens. She watches and smiles. That's enough. Kurosawa has noticed this too, so that's why. Kitahara says she'll come back the next day at the same time for his answer. then walks out like a small natural disaster who casually dropped a bomb and kept moving. Kurosawa watches her go and thinks she came in like a storm and left exactly the same way. Next day, Kurosawa sits in class, turning things over in his head. He watches Kitahara spend lunch copying notes for the bullying girls, which they apparently make her do regularly. It bothers him, and he thinks she is not a cute little squirrel. This girl is actually ruthless underneath all of it. After school, he goes to the library to study, but it's packed today because it's raining. Students are using it like a cafeteria, chatting everywhere. Couples settled into corners. No air conditioning. Miserable conditions. Then Takigawa comes over and asks what he's reading, and whether she can sit next to him. Same class, didn't know many people. He was familiar. They sit together, and Kurosawa starts noticing things about her. Her appearance is mature and elegant, in a way that feels different from other girls he's observed. He stares a little too long, and she asks if something's wrong. He deflects by asking about her book. She's reading something he's already finished. He almost gives away the ending, and she stops him just in time. They talk. She asks if he cries easily. A short back and forth follows. The rain gets heavier and more students pour in, and Takigawa ends up stuck for a while. Kurosawa finds himself feeling like maybe he won't do the ritual today. This is unusual. Something about the conversation has left him in a different place, but the pull is too strong and eventually he does it anyway. Then Kitahara shows up for her answer. He can't refuse. Fine. Tell me the plan. Kitahara's original idea is terrible and Kurosawa redesigns it entirely, coming up with something much harder to trace. When it's done, Naitoko reports what happened to the teacher. The teacher asks the class to confess. Nobody does. People start leaving for clubs. The teacher distributes sheets of paper asking everyone to write what they think motivated whoever did it. Kurosawa writes that he genuinely cannot understand why boys do such things. He is in the top 5 most manipulative fictional characters ever written, and I say that with full respect for the craft. Afterward, Kurosawa and Kitahara meet briefly in their usual spot. He says the plan worked better than her original idea. She says fine, she'll leave him alone now, but adds, if she ever needs revenge against another girl, she'll be back. He doesn't like this, but can't do much about it. She leaves, and as she goes says, our arrangement is still active, by the way. He watches her walk away. She is blackmailing him, and this girl he first thought was a quiet little squirrel is, in fact, something else entirely. The next rainy day, Kurosawa and Takigawa meet in the library again. The conversation goes further this time. She asks for book recommendations, and he suggests a novel with clean, precise prose. She reads it and loves it, comes back to thank him warmly. She asks what kinds of stories he likes. He keeps his answer vague, internally filtering out the honest answer. They talk for a long time, and at some point she says almost as a throwaway, you read so many novels, you should become an author one day. She tells him about a childhood friend of hers who became a fairly well-known novelist and says, that could be you. He says he has no intentions of doing that. She asks why not. Then the rain stops and they have to leave. Something like a loose promise passes between them. He thinks, I still can't quite read her. He decides not to do the ritual today and just goes home. I think it's because of her. One note, remember that she mentioned wanting to enter the fashion industry, and that she kept saying he should become a novelist. Both of these details are going to matter later. The school trip bus, broccoli head photographs, literally everything. Kurosawa is captured in exactly one photo and looks like a ghost who has accepted his fate. The trip begins properly and the group explores the Nara region. Lunch, deer park, the day moves along normally and unremarkably. Then Takigawa appears and asks to join their group. Her own was boring and she wanted something different. She slots in and immediately becomes an investigator. She wants to know why they call him Pizza, why they call the other one Broccoli Head. She asks Kitahara why she's so quiet. Kurosawa watches this and observes, Takigawa treats everyone with the exact same energy. No hierarchy, no favoritism. She just engages with whoever is in front of her. He keeps watching her, and eventually at a narrow shrine gate, when she squeezes through at a particular angle, he registers the visual for later use. He thinks to himself, got the photo. That'll be tonight's material. Of course it will. Next day in Osaka. Underground aquarium. New things. Kurosawa finds most of it uninteresting. But then it's the Ferris wheel, and he notices something strange. He's actually slightly smiling. He can't account for it. Nothing dramatic has happened. He's just here with these people, and the boredom isn't as heavy as it normally would be. He's actually okay. Then Kitahara appears beside him and says she wants to share a Ferris wheel car. He knows immediately. New targets. She names 2. First one, Pizza. He's been staring at her and even asked to sit with her on the ride. She wants him to back off on his own. The plan, Kurosawa and Kitahara pretend to be in a relationship. Pizza sees them together and naturally creates distance out of awkwardness. Second target, Yashiro Mako, a girl who bullied Kitahara the previous year alongside Sugawara. Kurosawa asks that was last year, Why bring it up now? Kitahara gives a strange answer. She recently saw this girl in what looks like a healthy, happy relationship, and that, according to Kitahara, is unforgivable. She made Kitahara suffer, and now she gets to be happy. Absolutely not. Kurosawa refuses the second target outright. He's not going to destroy a healthy relationship just because Kitahara is envious of someone else's happiness. She tries to use their arrangement as leverage. He says the context has changed. She doesn't understand. He tells her she'll understand tomorrow. That night at the hotel, Kurosawa waits for Broccoli Head to fall asleep in their shared room, then performs the ritual. Kitahara comes by afterward and asks how he's planning to do it this time. He shows her a bottle. She asks what's inside. He says tissues. Soak it in his output. She is immediately disgusted and tells him not to make her touch that. He looks at her and says, "See how bad that felt for you. That's what she's going to feel." The plan is to get the bottle into Yashiro's bag when the right moment presents itself. For the rest of the trip, wherever Yashiro and her boyfriend wander, Kurosawa steers the group nearby. Also during this period, Kurosawa and Kitahara hold hands as part of the fake relationship act. Pizza notices, feels awkward, and backs off on his own. That part works. Then Takigawa rejoins the group and Kurosawa immediately drops Kitahara's hand and starts speaking faster than necessary. Kitahara clocks this and starts to understand there's something going on with him regarding Takigawa. Kurosawa denies it loudly. They all get on a water ride, and Takigawa's clothes get thoroughly soaked. Kurosawa observes this in great detail. He thinks, whoever designed this attraction, sincerely, thank you. Then finally the moment comes. He's close enough to Yashiro's bag. He's right there. But before he reaches in, he overhears the couple talking. They're good together. Genuinely. They've clearly navigated something difficult and come through it. There's real warmth between them. Kurosawa pulls his hand back. He doesn't do it. He says, I should. But he can't. Internally, he admits the truth. Watching that couple together, he was imagining himself and Takigawa in their place, and he won't destroy that kind of thing for someone else. Not when he can feel what it would mean. On the bus back, Kitahara asks why he didn't go through with it. He says he doesn't know how to explain it. Internally, when I watched them together, I saw the two of us, and I refused to be the one who ruined something like that for someone else. Back at school, swimming class, boys cataloging observations about girls in swimsuits. Broccoli Head then shares the trip photos, and the group laughs together at a shot where Kurosawa and Broccoli Head are accidentally drinking from the same cup through two different straws. Everyone teases them. Kurosawa says nothing. After this, he and Broccoli Head continue spending time together, library sessions, novel discussions, long conversations. Something in Kurosawa is shifting. He's socializing, genuinely. The change is slow, but it's visible. He still maintains the ritual. He still has his bucket of output ready. There's a swimming pool sequence where his use of imagination operates at a level I'm not qualified to describe in detail. Broccoli Head invites him to karaoke after school. Kurosawa declines, says he has something personal. Broccoli Head offers to help. Kurosawa says it's private. Broccoli Head says that's totally fine. Handle your thing and come join us after. This man is relentlessly supportive, and it is quietly one of the best things about him. Kurosawa eventually gives in and agrees to come after. Broccoli Head also invites Kitahara, so the group ends up being a cluster of otakus, one introverted girl, and one guy who everyone thinks is mysterious but is actually just deeply criminal in his hobbies. The otakus immediately start dancing to anime openings. Broccoli Head is genuinely not bad. Kurosawa slips out feeling overwhelmed. In the hallway outside, he runs into Takigawa, who is also dragged there by her own friends and also wants to escape. She suggests they go somewhere together. That is, by any normal definition, a date. But let's not say that yet. They choose a movie. While Takigawa goes to get her bag, something happens inside Kurosawa. What is happening to my body right now? His internal state becomes completely unmanageable, and I'll leave it at that. The movie they see has a poster that is clearly Death Note inspired, a character named Yagami. The visual design immediately recognizable. Kurosawa is absolutely a Death Note fan, and nobody should be surprised. After the movie, they get food. Takigawa talks about her dream of entering the fashion industry. Then she circles back to the novelist thing. You should become one, I mean it. She tells him about the childhood friend who made it. He says he won't. She smiles. They go their separate ways. Walking home, Kurosawa is replaying everything she said. Her dreams, her belief in him, the warmth in her eyes when she talked, and his body's response is immediate and urgent. He finds a public bathroom and performs the ritual with her, in mind. But when it ends, her image appears not as material, but as herself, smiling with genuine warmth, and he immediately throws up his words. My body is rejecting Takigawa as material. He gets home, washes up, lies down, and admits it plainly. I only think about Takigawa these days. He's in love. Summer vacation. He spends every single day wandering around outside in the heat trying to find her, not knowing where she lives. He comes home and plays video games, almost certainly Street Fighter, given that he keeps saying Hadouken, and even mid-game Takigawa is all he thinks about. If a boy is thinking about you while actively playing Street Fighter, tell him yes. Vacation ends. He comes back to school looking for her immediately. Broccoli Head appears and mentions she's not coming in today. Kurosawa asks how Broccoli Head knew he was looking for her. Broccoli Head says they were in the same prep school over summer and she missed a day due to illness. When she finally comes in, they end up in the library. She says it's been 40 days and he's gotten a bit tan. He spent the entire summer looking for her. She explains she was on a family trip. They catch up. She mentions some girls from class were at the same prep school, and Kurosawa's face falls slightly at the thought of missed opportunities. She shares something personal. Growing up, she was the quiet kid. Didn't know how to talk to people. Didn't know how to begin. She changed when she entered middle school. One day, she simply decided to be different. Kurosawa hears this and thinks for a moment of Kitahara, then immediately catches himself. No, they're completely different. He doesn't know why that comparison appeared. Then in the middle of their conversation, out loud, Kurosawa says the words, "the girl I love." It slips out while he's describing what he finds attractive. Takigawa says this is the first time she shared things like this with a boy. His pulse is going. She says her past, all of it, including the hard parts, was probably necessary, because without it, she wouldn't be sitting across from Kurosawa right now, having this conversation. She says this while looking him directly in the eyes. Then she has to leave. He watches her go and goes directly to the bathroom to perform the ritual thinking of her. But this time when it ends, her image appears warm and smiling and human, not as material. But then Kitahara ambushes him outside the bathroom. She's back, and this time the target she names is Takigawa, the same girl he loves. Kurosawa goes still. He asks why Takigawa would be a target. She's never directly bullied Kitahara. She treats her decently. Kitahara says she never did anything direct, but she laughed when it happened. She watched and smiled. Kurosawa tells her she has completely lost her mind. He screams at her to drop it. His final answer is no. Kitahara tries the blackmail. He tells her that deal expires today. She asks what he means. He says, "You'll understand tomorrow." She says something he doesn't understand before leaving. "You're going to regret this very soon." He goes home thinking, she's completely lost it. "Threaten me all you want. I will not hurt Takigawa." He's so desperate to see Takigawa, to say something, anything, that he literally leaves his house at night to find her. He runs into a classmate coming out of a prep school nearby, and right after that spots Takigawa with her friends. He improvises, pretends he was just passing by to buy something. She's practically glowing with excitement. She says something happened today, and it's a secret. She'll tell him tomorrow. She says goodbye and goes with her friends. He watches her walk away and thinks, I wanted more time. He notices Kitahara also attends the same prep school. She looks at him. He says he wasn't there for Takigawa, obviously. He was shopping. She says, I think it's already too late. He asks what she means. She says, tomorrow morning you're going to regret this. He lies awake that night, unable to understand what she was talking about. Next morning, school. Broccoli Head is surrounded by an excited crowd of boys. Everyone is buzzing. Kurosawa comes over and asks what happened. The boys say he got a girlfriend. Broccoli Head has a girlfriend. Before Kurosawa can process who it might be, Takigawa walks into the group, puts her hand gently on Broccoli Head's arm and says, please don't mob my boyfriend. Broccoli Head has Takigawa. Kurosawa cannot move around him. People are saying they look great together. It makes sense. They seem happy. He can't register any of it properly. Broccoli Head reintroduces her formally. Everyone meet my girlfriend, Takigawa. She confirms it with a warm smile. Kurosawa's heart breaks. Now you understand what Kitahara meant. She already knew about their relationship. If Kurosawa had done what she asked, gone after Yashiro, created distance between Takigawa and Broccoli Head through that disruption, it might have changed things. He didn't, and now they're together. Later in the girls' bathroom, both Kurosawa and Kitahara are on their respective sides of the wall, both of them wrecked, because it turns out Kitahara had developed feelings for Broccoli Head during the school trip. That's the real reason she wanted Takigawa targeted, not primarily because of old grudges, but because she liked him and Takigawa got there first. Two heartbroken people, separated by a wall, both dealing with the exact same loss in the only space either of them knows how to process pain. That's the scene after this. Kurosawa's heartbreak comes in fragments over the following days. He overhears them using affectionate nicknames for each other. He thinks the Takigawa I know is being destroyed. Her habits are changing. Her hair is different now that she's with someone. Other students ask Takigawa what she likes about Broccoli Head, and she says he was really gentle. That hits Kurosawa somewhere specific. He starts creating distance from Broccoli Head, walks past him when Broccoli Head tries to start a conversation. One word answers. The manga depicts this with real care. There's a shot of the library where Takegawa is reading alone now, because Kurosawa stopped going. A shot of him passing them in the hallway and just saying hi and not stopping. He says the whole time there was something pressing into my heart, but I was managing it, until he sees them kiss. That's the moment Kurosawa fully loses it. He goes straight to the bathroom, and this time he notes, I felt nothing, doing it with her in mind and feeling nothing. He says, the last small space she held in my heart has completely vanished today. Then Kitahara shows up, and he tells her, fine, Takegawa, I'll do it. Kitahara, who also just had her heart broken, watches him and realizes he liked her too. But instead of processing it, he's channeling it into something destructive. He has completely lost his sanity at this point. Sports festival, the class clown decides to run his race while undressed, not because of aerodynamics, because he wanted to shock the audience. He puts his clothes back on before the actual race and somehow wins first place. Meanwhile, Kurosawa and Kitahara slip into the empty classroom during the festival. He goes to Takegawa's desk. He's been imagining the same scenario on repeat for weeks, the two of them together everywhere he looks. His internal confession to her is long and broken. He tells her, I loved you. You chose broccoli head. And here in this space where I can still reach you in some way, he plays out everything he wanted to give her in imagination. He's crying during it. He says, this is all I can ever be to you. When it ends, he comes back to reality. And for the first time, there is no relief, no satisfaction, no warmth, just emptiness and ash. He stares at her desk and feels nothing. When everyone returns to class, Takegawa opens her bag. Her reaction is alarming enough that people assume something crawled inside. She tries to hold herself together. Then Kurosawa casually asks to borrow her notes, and she has to open her bag again. She finds what he put in there. She vomits in class. Everyone panics. Someone gets her clothes. Someone takes her outside. And Kurosawa sits there and says internally, seeing Takegawa cry, I felt nothing. The last trace of her in my heart is completely gone. He says, goodbye to the girl I loved. He gets up and leaves. The teacher tries to identify who did it. Can't. Takegawa slowly begins to recover. She resumes interacting with boys, though there's a hesitation in her now that wasn't there before. Kurosawa, following Kitahara's continued direction, moves on to new targets without hesitation or wait. He crosses lines he would have paused at before. A girl's flute. He does it. She opens the case, and what comes out is deeply unpleasant, and she may have gotten some in her mouth. Another target follows, Haruna, the flute girl's friend. At this point, Kurosawa says flatly, I don't think about consequences anymore, P.E. again. Broccoli Head comes over and asks Kurosawa to warm up together. Kurosawa says find someone else. Broccoli Head says everyone already has a partner. Kurosawa tells him he's popular now. He has his girlfriend. He has friends. Go to them. Broccoli Head's expression when he hears this, he doesn't deserve that. He is genuinely one of the kindest people in this story, and he never did anything wrong. Kurosawa watches him go and knows he doesn't deserve that. But Kurosawa is operating at a place where he can't reach back to normal things right now. Later, when Kurosawa gets his new assignment, it is to destroy a watercolor art piece by a girl named Haruna. He goes into the classroom and finds her art piece, but while looking for her locker, he also sees Takegawa's locker. Due to his curiosity, he decides to check out what she painted. Since the theme for the painting was about the person's dream future, he expected her drawing to be about designing clothes, but when he opens the painting, his eyes become wide open. It's a painting of when they went on the school trip with everyone. The moment he saw the painting, something in him started cracking. He thought that she was the person who gave him the chance to fall in love with the opposite gender for the first time since he was born. He thinks about how she painted this memory as if it were a treasure even while she was actively being targeted by the school's hidden criminal. The painting symbolized her dream as a child to have friends to interact with, but now it's all ruined by Kurosawa. Kurosawa starts crying and says he's sorry for doing such a thing to her. We can see that something in Kurosawa is finally starting to change. Once he leaves the classroom, Kitahara asks if he finished the job, to which Kurosawa doesn't say a word except for a faint shake of the head signaling no. Kitahara loses her mind and shouts at him for not delivering Haruna her punishment. But Kurosawa is done listening to her and starts walking off. Kitahara tries to blackmail him once again, but Kurosawa calmly responds saying that the agreement between them has expired as of today. Kitahara demands him to explain what he means, but he just turns around and says that she will understand everything tomorrow. The day after class had ended, Kurosawa called out to his teacher. He raises his hand and says that he has something to say to everyone. While walking up to the stage, he thinks about how he wants to go back to the times when he could smile and spend time with his friends. But in order for that to happen, he has to clear his guilty conscience. Once on the stage, he starts his speech. He says to be honest, there's something he's been hiding from everyone, and asks for everyone to listen carefully. One of his classmates asks if he's about to transfer schools, which riles up the whole class, bidding him a farewell, to which he just says, "Give me a break." When he looks at Kitahara, he could see her flustered face, but in his mind he just tells her to watch him. He starts off by bringing up the first incident involving Neitu, then the most recent incident involving Takigawa as a victim. He even goes on to say that there are also some that the teacher doesn't even know about. But even with all of his classmates staring at him with a confused face, he wants to make sure he can say it clearly to everyone he's harmed. He confesses that it was all his doing and bows down while apologizing in front of the whole classroom. In the following days, people started acting much differently towards him. The whole classroom would go silent when he walked in. They treated him as if he didn't exist. Takigawa was walking in the halls with her friend, and when she ran into Kurosawa, she went past him with a somber look on her face. A few hours later, the two victims showed up and demanded him to follow them. They had paid money to upperclassmen to beat Kurosawa up. They brought him outside the school and beat him to pulp while the girls stood in the back watching. The next day when he came to class, his desk was full of writings cursing him out and telling him to leave. He knew that there was no way for him to track down who did this on his desk, but while looking at all the names, one stood out to him. It was Onanyu Master Kurosawa. When glanced to the side, he could see the broccoli head looking at him with a sad look on his face. He thinks about how the only guy who wouldn't leave him alone won't even look at his face now. Then his teacher shows up and asks him to come to the teacher's office. He tells Kurosawa that he has to contact his parents, but he does value his courage for speaking out and admitting to what he did. He knew that Kurosawa knew what would be ahead of him and was willing to take the responsibility for his actions, which was why he had decided to not tell his parents. But in the end, one of his victim's parents demanded the teacher to make Kurosawa and his parents apologize to the victim. So the teacher asks if it's alright for him to contact his house tonight, to which Kurosawa responds with "That's fine" immediately. The teacher puts his hands on Kurosawa's shoulders and says, "Attaboy, that's my student," with a proud tone. A few days later, the harassment still continues with no change, but Kitahara screams at him asking what he's doing. She calls him crazy for owning up to everything knowing that they would harass him. But Kurosawa says that he's not crazy at all, and that the only crazy one was him from the past. He says that he finally understands what she's been going through all this time, but he also understands that they are both weak little middle school students. But when he was in the bathroom stall doing his business, he felt like he was in control. He says that there were two reasons as to why he chose this path. The first reason was for himself, and the second was for Kitahara. He wanted to show her that there is a way out of this. He then says that on his final plan, he saw a scenery so beautiful that he could never imagine it in his small little cramped female bathroom stall. He tells her to watch him in the last few months until graduation. He wants to teach her how to buy a ticket out of the hole she's in. He tells her that no matter how much he has to suffer, he won't depend on anyone else. He will endure until someone starts to think of him as a normal student once again. And while walking out of the bathroom, he finally feels like he's not trapped in that tiny stall anymore. He tells her that his daily activity comes to an end today. He continues his life with all the harassment still ever present. He decides that one day he must apologize to Takigawa. Then during PE, he could see Broccoli Head wanting to start a conversation with him, but not knowing what to say. But Kurosawa himself also doesn't know what to say back to him. Broccoli Head's friends call him over to stretch together, which leads him to going back to them. Kurosawa just sits on the ground with a gloomy look in his eyes, but then someone screams out his name while running towards him. It's Broccoli Head asking Kurosawa to stretch with him. This small moment gave Kurosawa all of which he wished for. He accepted his invite immediately, and decided to tell him the thing he's been wanting to say from the very first time they met, which was a simple thank you. Later, cleanup duty. Everyone's gone except Kurosawa wiping down the classroom. Kitahara is still sitting there. She says, "I can't become like you. You and I are different. I want those girls to suffer." He tries to reason with her. She erupts. She says those girls made her life hell, and she wants them to feel even a fraction of it. And that includes Takigawa, because Takigawa didn't actively hurt her. But she did something worse. She got to be happy. She got a healthy relationship. She got the person Kitahara liked. And Kitahara cannot tolerate it. He keeps trying to reach her. She says, "Stop. You and I are fundamentally different. I cannot endure things the way you can. I need revenge. That's it." He picks up his bag, pauses, and says, "If you ever need help, call me." Internally, he thinks, "I understand her, but I have Broccoli Head even though I've been pushing him away. She has nobody. Not one person." He goes to the library and Takigawa comes in and sits across from him. He says, "No rain today." She says, "No, but it's snowing." And we cut to the past, the day Kurosawa stood in front of the class and confessed. Now we see it from Takigawa's perspective. At first she couldn't believe it was him. Then she thought he stood in front of 66 people and admitted everything. He gathered the courage to do that. He apologized publicly. That means something real. She was actually ready to forgive him almost from the beginning. But neither of them could say it to the other. She watched him get beaten up by Sugawara's hired seniors. She wanted it to stop. She almost spoke up. She saw his shoes get hidden. She saw Broccoli Head find them. She talked to Broccoli Head about it all, and he said, "I've forgiven him, but that doesn't mean you have to." She thought, "I actually want to forgive him. I want to talk about books again. I want things to go back to how they were, but I'm scared he'll hurt me again." Broccoli Head said that's completely understandable. That's just human nature. Then he mentioned, recently, Kurosawa thanked me and shook my hand. That doesn't fit the person everyone's been describing. Maybe he's actually trying to change. Takigawa pieced it together. He confessed everything publicly. He's enduring everything without running. He's not deflecting or making excuses. That's what change looks like from the outside. Just like when she decided to change herself in middle school, one day, one decision, and then the slow work of becoming different. She recognized it in him. Back in the present, Kurosawa apologizes directly to her. She says, "It's okay." From this point forward, we watch Kurosawa actually change. He enrolls in a prep school. He wants a good university. He wants to become a novelist, the thing Takigawa kept insisting he should be. He focuses on studying properly for the first time. During this period, he also gradually exists in closer proximity to Sugawara, not predatorily. He ends up helping her with a problem she can't solve. She gives him a thank you drink, and over time they develop something that resembles companionship. Something that is quietly becoming more than that, but then something happens with Kitahara. Graduation ceremony. Kitahara doesn't come. We go back to understand why. Art class, everyone has a blade and some wooden material for a crafting assignment. Kurosawa has his group now. Kitahara is alone as always, and some boys use the session to bother her. The bullying escalates beyond what she can absorb. She drives the blade into her own hand. The class panics. She's rushed to the nurse immediately. And after that day, she stops coming to school entirely. She doesn't come back. Not even for graduation. On the last day, Kurosawa gets his yearbook signed. On the last day, Kobayashi signs his and he signs Kobayashi's in return. He asks if Kobayashi is still angry at him, to which Kobayashi says he was never really angry at him since he did nothing to him. But if he were to do anything to Erika, he would have been knocked out right then and there. Kurosawa thinks to himself that he really is glad that he decided to come out of the stall and see the outside world. Kobayashi asks him for his phone number too so that they can get in contact for class reunions. Kurosawa smiles and says, "Of course, count me in." The old Kurosawa would have looked at this and thought, boring, pointless, my daily ritual is more worthwhile than this. But this person smiles and means it. Sometime later, Kurosawa goes to Kitahara's house. Her mother answers the door and is overjoyed. Her daughter has a friend. She has never seen one come to visit before. Then her expression shifts. She tells him in the past 6 months, Kitahara has tried to harm herself 5 times. She's terrified of losing her. She's crying. She says Kitahara is all she has left. Kurosawa understands. He has to do something. He starts talking to Kitahara through her bedroom door, the same way they used to talk through the bathroom wall at school, one inside, one outside. He tells Sugawara about it, and the two of them are now close enough that she becomes part of the effort too. But none of it immediately gets Kitahara to the reunion. Kurosawa goes alone first. Broccoli Head is there, Takigawa is there, Pizza, the class clown, Haruna. Basically everyone. It's warm and chaotic and genuinely good. But there is one empty chair. Kurosawa tells everyone to start without him. The class clown assumes, based on past behavior, that he's sneaking off for old reasons. He's not. He goes to Kitahara's house and spends a long time trying to convince her. He lays out everything. You'll regret this. Everyone is there. This kind of moment doesn't come back. Please come with me. She refuses. She says nobody will even remember whether she was there. He says, "I'll remember. I came here specifically because of you. I'm standing at your door right now because of you." He gives everything he has to this. And she still shakes her head. He turns to go. And then she says, "Wait, let me change my clothes." Her mother watches her daughter walk toward the door for the first time in months. She starts crying again, this time from something different. She asks Kurosawa what his relationship with her daughter is. He says, "We're cut from the same cloth." A genuinely beautiful line. Walking to the reunion, Kurosawa tells Kitahara, "I like a girl. I'm going to ask her soon." She asks if he's scared of being rejected. He says, "Yeah. But at least I won't have to live with the regret of never trying." As they get closer to the venue, Kitahara gets more nervous. All those people, all that history, all the things she'd rather not face. He leans over briefly and hugs her to steady her nerves. He says, "All you have to do is open the door." "I opened mine from the inside. You're opening yours from outside. Look at how far you've come." He walks in first. Then she pushes the door open with everything she has and steps inside. Sometime later in a separate scene, we see them traveling somewhere together. Kurosawa notices a familiar face among the people around them, someone he recognizes, someone who is smiling now, genuinely, easily, like a person who has found their footing in the world. It's Kitahara. Because of Kurosawa, she changed too. Final stretch. Kurosawa and Sugawara growing closer. Feelings expressed indirectly, then directly. Kurosawa asks Sugawara on a date. She doesn't say no. The manga ends there, and it earns every bit of that ending. The bonus chapters fill in the rest. At 24, Kurosawa proposes to Sugawara. 2 years later at a class reunion, at 26, Broccoli Head has somehow leveled up beyond recognition. Kaitahara is exactly the same tiny, quiet person she always was, which is honestly perfect for her. And in the final bonus story, Kurosawa and Sugawara are living together after getting engaged. She finds a magazine with Naitoko, the class beauty from their school days, featured inside it. Sugawara tears up. Am I not good enough? Kurosawa says that's from years ago. He picks up the magazine and throws it away, and that's it. That's where the story ends. It started as dark, uncomfortable comedy about a broken kid doing something genuinely indefensible. Then it became a story about obsession, grief, guilt, and the actual decision to become someone different. The girl whose memory he used as an excuse for his worst behavior was also the reason he finally chose to stop. He stood in front of his entire class and admitted what he did. He took every consequence without deflecting. He endured it all, and he came out the other side as someone worth knowing, the girl who first saw him come out of that bathroom, the quiet squirrel-like introvert who was being eaten alive by her own anger, found something worth fighting for too. Not a perfect ending, a real one, and that's rarer and harder and better.